let's jump right into how to make the best pizza I've ever tasted. Make sure you're using 00 flour. It makes a huge difference. All right, you also have to have a kitchen scale because weighing your ingredients is a lot more accurate. Make sure it's zeroed out when you put your bowl on. And then you need 350 milliliters of warm filtered water. And I put a little bit too much, so I'm going to take some out. Make sure it reads 350. Make sure you zero out your scale in between measurements. Now you need to put in some starter. If you make sourdough, you probably have this on your counter or in your fridge. If not, it's very easy to make. There's recipes all over the internet. It's really just flour and water. And you're just going to mix that in. You definitely don't need a dough whisk. They're very annoying to clean anyway, so just use a spoon. All right, zero out your scale, and you need 20 grams of fine sea salt. Don't use table salt. It will not turn out the same. All right, zero out your scale again, and now you need 5 grams of malt powder. This is probably easiest to find on Amazon. That's where I got it. And it's going to help with the browning and the texture of the crust. Mix that up. And zero your scale again. All right, and so just put in 625 grams of 00 tipo flour. There's many different brands, but it needs to be 00. That helps with the crust texture and elasticity, and it just makes it nice and chewy and crispy and delicious. All right, so mix that up. I'm getting the dough whisk real nice and dirty and going to be a real pain to clean. Once you have it mixed fairly well with a utensil, then you will have to switch to your hands. So dump it out onto your work surface. Make sure it's clean and get all of the pieces out. And a bench scraper really helps bring everything together here. But if you don't have one, it's fine. You can just do it all by hand, but it really helps to get all the flour and everything incorporated a lot easier. And you're just going to knead until it gets really just well incorporated and it starts to get kind of sticky. As the flour hydrates and mixes well with the water, it starts to get a little bit stickier and wetter. And you'll probably notice as I'm doing this, my hands are getting a lot more stuck to the dough and everything just feels like a big old mess. But don't worry, you're on the right track. Once you get to this point, this is where you're probably thinking, oh no, I need to add flour. Don't. Just cover and let it rest for 15 minutes. And when you come back, you'll see it's going to be different. Now, this is a good time to preheat your oven to the highest setting your oven will go to. And a pizza steel, not a pizza stone, a steel works a lot better. It gets a lot hotter. That is going to make a huge difference in your crust. So get that in there and preheating for about an hour before you're ready to bake. And at this point, just put some extra virgin olive oil on your hands. Pat it all over the top, and you're going to do coil folds. Again, if you make sourdough, this is easy. You will probably be very familiar with this, but if not, just watch. It's really easy to do. You just kind of pick it up and fold it over itself, pick it up and fold it over itself, and you'll notice it's starting to create a nice, smooth, elastic surface, and it's no longer sticking to your hands or to the bench or anything. And you're just going to keep going until it becomes really smooth and elastic and bouncy. And then just cover it up. And at this point, you're going to cover it for about 30 minutes to an hour. And when you come back to it, just go ahead and clear off any extra flour off of the work surface. You just want to have a clear space. A little bit more extra virgin olive oil on your hands. You're going to divide it into 4 equal parts. You can weigh it if you want, but I just eyeball it. We like it rustic around here. And if you are using a bench scraper, Probably don't want to do that right on marble. I realized that I just scratched up my pastry board, but it's okay. Now just tuck the sides into the bottom, just like this, similar to the coil folding, but a little bit different. And you're going to use your surface to seal the bottom by twisting it on the surface. Once you have them all done, we cover them up. Let them sit for about 2 hours. So here I've come back after 2 hours, and you're going to use a lot of flour on your work surface and start by creating the crust around the edges. You're going to just kind of press down, flip it over, press down around the edges. You're going to leave the very outer edge a little bit thicker. And here you just start stretching it in a circular motion to help keep everything nice and round and even. And then you're going to put it on the backs of your knuckles and kind of stretch it that way. And then you just flip it over your head like a pizzeria. Just kidding. I don't know how to do that yet. One day. Once you have it kind of stretched out into a nice thin circle, just go through, make sure there's no extra thick areas that aren't evened out. Now it's time to put on the sauce. I've tried many different ones. My favorite right now is by the Silver Palate. It is a San Marzano Marinara, and it is amazing. Hard to find, but it is well worth it. Garlic powder over there, over top. And then very important is dried basil. Lots of it. It is a game changer. And then you need freshly grated, not pre-grated, Romano cheese. And then fresh mozzarella. Do not use the block or the brick or pre-shredded or anything like that. It has to be fresh mozzarella. It is completely different. And then here I'm using a traditional boar's head pepperoni in natural casing. It is much better than Hormel or those grocery store ones. Get the nice one from the deli. And just slide it on the pizza peel and put it in the preheated oven on the pizza steel. Let it bake. Takes a few minutes, not very long. The hotter your oven, the better. And then you're going to pull it out when it's nice and bubbly and crispy. And you're going to want to let it sit for a little bit to cool before you cut it. But here, you're going to want to take some dried oregano. This is some that I grew last year, and I dried it. You're going to crush that up and sprinkle it all over because it makes a big difference in the flavor. So once it's had a moment to settle, you can cut it up and enjoy the most delicious pizza ever, and you will never eat out again.